Hello everyone, this is Amit Singhania, partner Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas and Company. Today Finance Minister has presented Budget 2021. So even if we cannot say this to be a very populist budget, but we can all agree this to be a progressive and inclusive budget. When I say progressive and inclusive budget, it has all the recipe which is required to take the economy to 11% growth rate for the fiscal year 2021 and 22. So let's see what is that the finance minister has put in this particular budget which is required for the purposes of achieving this kind of a growth rate. So this budget has the revenue mobilization measures. For example, this budget envisages the divestment of the PSUs. This budget also keeps the promises of keeping the public expenditure buoyancy without getting bogged down by the fiscal deficit. So if you see in total, it has a revenue mobilization, it has a public expenditure which is required for putting the economy back into track. The budgetary proposals are founded on 6 main principles. The first is health and well-being, second is physical and financial capital, third is infrastructure, fourth is innovation and R&D, the fifth is inclusive development, and the last one being minimum government and maximum governance. In terms of the tax related proposals, there are no changes into the tax rate. This gives an indication that the government wants to continue or wants to give a stable and a certain tax regime. However, at the same time, the finance minister has tightened the noose against the tax evader. The finance minister has introduced, in case of a serious tax offences, then the tax reopening can happen after the expiry of 10 years. The another significant proposal in this particular direction is the attachment of the property in case of fake invoices. So the policy, in terms of the policy shift, there are 4 major policy shifts has been announced. The first is the liberalization of FDI regime in the insurance sector. The second is consolidation of securities law. The third is the divestment and monetization of the PSU assets. The last one is the revamping of the tax administration. When we say revamping, so there are a couple of changes which has been introduced. The first one being that the reopening of the assessment has been revamped and the time period for the reopening has been reduced to 3 years in certain cases and has been extended to 10 years in the other cases. The other major tax changes will be taken by my colleague Ms. Gauri Puri.
Hello, my name is Gauri Puri and I'm a tax partner at Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas & Co. Today I'm going to briefly reflect on the key income tax proposals under Union Budget 2021. As expected, the budget doesn't come up with big tax breaks or tax rate cuts for the industry. However, there are a bunch of rationalization measures as well as a revamp of the tax assessment procedure. Let's briefly reflect on some. So when it comes to rationalization of the tax assessment procedure, let's first talk about the rejig in the limitation period for issuing notices for reassessment of tax proceedings. Under the current law, we have 4 years with the tax office to carry out reassessment proceedings. This gets extended to 6 years in the event the taxpayer has not disclosed any incomes, and in case income has escaped assessment in relation to a foreign asset, this goes up to 16 years. Now the government's come up and rechanged all of this. We now have 3 years that's proposed under the finance bill for reopening tax assessment. This gets increased to 10 years in the event that the tax office is in possession of any evidence to show that there has been an escapement of income exceeding INR 50 lakhs. Now, while this is a welcome change because it brings more tax certainty to taxpayers, the true test will come through when we see how this higher standard or higher threshold for reopening assessment for 10 years is finally implemented by the government. Similarly, when it comes to rationalization of tax measures, we've seen India's return from the DDT regime to the classical dividend taxation systems. Now, for foreign portfolio investors, while there was much to rejoice because we had, they could now claim a foreign tax credit for the taxes withheld in India. In addition, they could avail the benefit of tax treaty rates. There was a systemic error in the Income Tax Act. So, for instance, if you see for foreign portfolio investors, we have a specific withholding tax provision whereunder taxes are required to be withheld at a flat rate of 20%. This meant that even if the foreign portfolio investor was entitled to a lower withholding tax rate under the treaty, the entity making a payment and outward remittance to the foreign portfolio investor would withhold tax at a flat 20% rate. The government now proposed to realign the withholding tax provision with the treaty rates, and therefore this should give a boost to foreign portfolio investment in India. Finally, in terms of tax incentives, as I mentioned, there haven't been big tax breaks, but small incentives here and there. So there has been a relaxation of the conditions that a sovereign wealth fund was required to meet for the purposes of claiming tax exemption in respect of its infrastructure investments. And this was much needed because this now gives India more access to foreign government funds. Additionally, some incentives for affordable housing, some investment incentives for startups, which is nothing but sort of a extension of the existing tax holiday by another year. And finally, we've seen government's strong resolve to make sure that the IFSC concept is a success. Over the past couple of years, there have been a bunch of tax incentives being offered to people or to funds locating in the IFSCs. Now we have another slew of other benefits and incentives that have been introduced in context of investments in IFSC, especially in the context of aircraft leasing. Thank you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon.